Krill and Thancred have come up with an idea on how to find Minfilia. Hydaelyn directly aided us in the battle with Ultima Weapon. Maybe there could have been some measurable impact on the Aether there. This means that they intend to sneak into the Praetorium. Thancred disguises himself as an Imperial and sneaks Krill in with him. Krill doesn't like the fact that Thancred isn't showering her with compliments like he does with Minfilia. She refuses to move a step forward until he tells her how he met Minfilia. He eventually gives in. 15 years ago, a Gobu broke free in Ul'dah. If Thancred had been paying attention at the time, it wouldn't have been an issue, but he was distracted, and that led to Minfilia's father being killed. Even with this tragedy, Minfilia didn't let it keep her down. After some time, she learned of her gift and took responsibility of guiding others along the path. She touched the hearts of every soul she met. She was their guiding light, their hope for a brighter future. Thancred would see to it that every dream she ever had will come true. Now it is Krill's turn. Minfilia is her dearest friend. Every day that Krill was unconscious, Minfilia asked if she was okay, clinging on to hope. That very same hope pushes Krill forward to find her dearest friend. With no time to waste, they push onwards through the Praetorium, praying that they may find a clue as to where she may be. They successfully return from their mission in the Praetorium, with news to share. They found that the aetheric signature that lay in the Praetorium is the same as the one left in the aqueducts where we last saw her. It is also the same signature left on the Isle of Val where Krill was shielded from the blast. They also realized that Y'shtola didn't only teleport her and Thancred away, but Minfilia too. In short, they believe that Hydaelyn used Y'shtola's flow to teleport Minfilia into the Etheric Sea. Luckily for us, before the max exodus of Idleshire, the Sharlayans did study the Etheric Sea. We are granted access there, but we must go alone. The rest of the Scions will stay behind with Matoya, whilst we go out and explore the Antitower. Arriving at the end of the Antitower, we look around at our surroundings. There doesn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary. Suddenly our crystal of light begins to radiate a bright light. Hydaelyn talks to us. Hear, feel, think. We lower our heads and close our eyes. She brings us into the ethereal sea. We gaze upon Hydaelyn's crystal structure. An unknown being begins to descend from above. It's Minfilia. They are named the Word of the Mother, but they were once called Minfilia. We are shocked to see this is where she ended up after so long. A lot of time has passed since the bloody banquet. Minfilia listened to Hydaelyn's words, and that guided her towards Y'shtola's flow, so that she could be sent into the ethereal sea. She was left alone, drifting in solitude. She prayed and made an offering. Now both Minfilia and Hydaelyn speak as one. They will now give us the most precious gift, the truth of this world. The light and dark were once balanced as one, but darkness coveted power, which ruined the balance. So she was forced to banish Zodiac into the distant heavens. By doing so, the star was sundered. 13 reflections of Source were created. Zodiac wants to be brought back to life, and the Ascians will make sure it happens. To do so, they mean to rejoin a shard back to Source. Each time there is a calamity on Source, it means that the Ascians succeeded in rejoining a shard. If we count all the umbral calamities we've had so far, then that means they have succeeded 7 times. The Ascians cannot continue. Before she can finish her sentence, it seems that the crystal is out of power. She will use what's left to send us back home. We are sent back to Matoya's cave. Everyone was awaiting our return. They want to know what we found in the ethereal sea. Thancred and Krill are the most intrigued. We have a somber look on our faces as we don't want to deliver the news to them, but we do what we must. We recount our tale to everyone, about Minfilia and the truth. They don't understand the words they hear, and ask Krill to explain it in a different way. Krill ponders for a moment before looking towards Thancred. He seems to understand what it means, as he grits his teeth in frustration. Krill continues on. Whilst it may be unbelievable, there is no reason to not believe the word of the mother. Hydaelyn has grown so weak that she can no longer speak to us, so she would accept the pact to join with Minfilia. But now Minfilia is unable to manifest her own form consistently. In other words, Minfilia is gone. The Scions are in disbelief, but Matoya comes in to try and reassure everyone. Minfilia threw herself at Hydaelyn, just like fuel on the fire. Y'shtola snaps at her for being too straightforward. She sighs and asks Alphinaud to tell her about the Scions. The Scions exist and move to grant Eorzea her salvation. Whenever the realm is threatened, we take up arms in her defense, so all that lives in Eorzea may live to see a brighter tomorrow. It is a noble endeavor, but whilst chasing these dreams we have lost sight of some truths. To win a war, you must be willing to do whatever it takes. To fight, to kill, to die. The path the Scions have chosen is riddled with death. Choose to walk it with your eyes open, or not at all. She means that if the Ascians are willing to wipe out entire worlds and kill any living thing to resurrect their gods, then we must be as willing to do anything to stop them. There is much to learn from these words. We have received an invitation to come back to Ishgard to speak with Sir Imric. With our foray into the Anti-Tower done, we accept his invitation. When the true Brothers of Faith seized the vault, he believed that it was the worst possible outcome. But luckily for everyone, Vidofnir came and arrived just at the right time to save an Ishgardian girl's life. There couldn't be a more fitting symbol of hope. Therefore, with such an opportunity presenting itself, he has pushed forward the formal arrangements for a peace conference between the Dravanians and man. They are taking their first steps towards a nation where they can live in harmony. We were invited because we have done more than anyone to see the two factions brought together. But also Nidhogg is against this peace. Therefore he may try and disrupt the gathering. But with us there, the people may be relaxed, knowing that we have it under control. The conference will take place in the Falcon's Nest, which is on the border between Ishgard and Dravanian territory. We should join Lucia at the Falcon's Nest and be ready for the conference to begin. We were about to leave, but he stops us. He wants us to share a drink with him. Not right now, but once everything is over and has been dealt with, he would like to have a drink with us. We accept his offer and move towards the Falcon's Nest. We arrived here early, so we decided to have a little rest and relaxation in a nearby tavern. The tavern is packed with people who are passing time, waiting for the conference to start. An earnest maid approaches us and guides us to an empty chair. She places a warm cup of soup in front of us to help us deal with the cold from the outside, saying it is on the house. Food will take some time to arrive because there are a lot of people here waiting for the conference to start. But there is a reason to celebrate. It seems like peace is finally on the horizon, after all those years of fighting. When she heard about the conference, she knew she had to come here, to do her part. Her husband died fighting the dragons, and now we are about to sign a peace treaty with them. We enjoy listening to her story. Wait a second. Hold on. What is happening to us? Something doesn't feel right. Our eyes start to get heavy. We can feel our body getting weaker and sluggish. This maid put a sleeping potion in our drink. We collapse to the floor and begin to fall asleep. The last thing we hear from her is that it was never our fight to begin with. We have a vision of the maid at a gravestone. Another couple is there, mourning their son. She is grieving over the loss of her husband. They were told that they now walk the walls of Helone as some sort of comfort, maybe. The elderly couple cannot bear to forget their son, but that's what Ishgard wants to do. To accept this truth for the sake of peace, to bury the past and look towards the future. But her son was her future, and now he's gone. A group is gathering, a group of people who have been affected by the Dragon's Song War, who have lost loved ones, who oppose the peace between man and dragon. How can they surrender to peace when the memory of their loved ones being murdered by the Wyrims is etched into their minds? Who cares what exactly happened 1,000 years ago? Have the dragons tried to earn the peace that we are giving them? No, it's a ruse, and Sir Imric has fallen for it. What can they even do at this point? They believe the words. No matter what, man and dragon will come together at Falcon's Nest. Everything and everyone who suffered in the war will be forgiven and forgotten. The maid steps in. She cannot let that happen. She cannot forgive the dragons for what they've done to the people. They will oppose the conference. The people have lost too much to the dragons and are thirsty for vengeance. Nothing can be done. She aims to sow the seeds of doubt amongst men and cause the peace to fall through, so we can finally see them for the enemy they are. We are woken up by Thancred. Apparently there is a crisis happening outside. We follow Thancred to see what is happening. There are people injured on the floor. The maid is atop a roof and begins preaching to the people, telling them not to be fooled by the Dravanians, beseeching them to remember those who died and didn't return from the war. Do you not cry out for vengeance? Does your blood not boil at this injustice? We must strike back. Amanda Lane is realizing what she is doing. In a panicked state, he asks the guard to do something about her. The knight draws his bow and fires an arrow into her arm. The people are shocked upon seeing this. Amanda Lane has just given her the means she needs to become a martyr and spell doom for Sir Imric's plan of true peace. This is the true nature of the Highborn. Raise your voices in disagreement and you'll be granted death. You are given a choice: death by dragon or death by nobleman's command. Death to everything they hold dear. The noblemen will take nothing from her. Nothing. Her tirade is interrupted as an arrow is swiftly placed into her abdomen. Amanda Lane looks towards the guard, asking him what has he done. He only did as he ordered. People are now looking at him with disgust. He has just proven her words as true. Die by dragon, or die by nobleman's command. He tries to plead his case. He didn't give the order for her to be killed, but his inexperience is being used against him here. The people are turning against him. He slowly starts to back away and retreats into the tavern. Amanda Lane is told to go back to Ishgard and answer for his actions, but he will only go with his manservant Honoroit. When calling for him, they find that they cannot find him anywhere, and instead go looking for him. We find an injured Honoroit on the floor. He has been beaten. Apparently some guests wanted to leave, but he implored them to stay. If only Amanda Lane had been more careful with his words, then this wouldn't have happened. But Honoroit knows that he and his brother only have Ishgard's best interests in mind. But that poor woman only lives in the past, living in painful memories. She doesn't look towards the future, which holds so much promise, so much joy. The people of Ishgard know this, and will fight for that future. Honoroit passes out from his injuries, but he will live as long as he is given the care he needs. Amanda Lane laments, why did this have to happen? Now of all times, don't the people want to live in peace? Don't they want happiness? Then why does it always fall to pieces? What was he supposed to do with that woman? He couldn't let her continue on. She had to be stopped. We are angered upon hearing this. We're about to give him a piece of our mind, but Thancred stops us and instead tells him to stop blaming others and start blaming himself. He made his choice and he now has to live with these consequences. In a fit of rage, Amanda Lane punches Thancred. What would Thancred know about consequences? He always knows what to say, what to do. Everything he does is greeted by a round of applause. Thancred snaps upon hearing his incessant whining and delivers a punch that knocks Amanda Lane off of his feet. What does he know about him? He has fought hard to protect everyone he holds dear, to use all of his power, and yet he has still failed. Learn to live with it. He has. It seems that a military exercise is being proposed by the Eorzean Alliance, which is named the Grand Melee. It is an honorable battle, and should Ishgard win it, it will boost the nation's morale. Amanda Lane is being volunteered to participate. He cannot accept this command, and is instead resolved to speak with Sir Imric, so that he may be able to make his own decisions for once. He asks Sir Imric, how does he do it? How does he continue to fight for peace when most Ishgardians don't want peace with the Dravanians? The people hate him almost as much as the dragons. They've even tried to kill him. Yet he still forges ahead. Where does he find the strength to do so? Imric ponders for a moment, and then answers the question. Ishgard has been punished for the sins of their forefathers for centuries. To end the punishment, they need to right the wrongs of their forefathers, and move forward as a united nation. Théoden didn't believe in this, and instead opted for tyranny, as he didn't think the people were strong enough. But Imric believes in the people's strength, and he believes that they can overcome every trial that is set before them. Many have fought and died for this needless war, and now that war can finally be stopped, he won't let their sacrifices be in vain. Emanalain wants to believe. His careless orders at the Falcon's Nest has casted a dark shadow over the peace treaty. Therefore, he would like to make amends for his actions. He wishes to join the Grand Melee by his own volition. Imric will not reject such a heartfelt plea. He is allowed to fight in the Grand Melee. The Ishgardian forces will be led by Imric. He is the Lord Commander of the Temple Knights after all. Edmund is honored to see Sir Imric leading a battle that has his youngest fighting within it. But he shouldn't cut it off there. There is a certain adventurer who may still yet join, who has shared in Ishgard's suffering and glory. We are asked to join the Grand Melee, to fight as an ally of Ishgard. After such a heartfelt speech from Emanalain and Imric, our heart burns with emotion. How could we say no? Today is the day the Grand Melee begins. The knights are resolved to fight alongside the Warrior of Light. The rules of the Grand Melee are simple. The Ishgardian forces will be pitted against the forces of the Maelstrom, the Twin Adder, and the Flame Legion. When an opponent is incapacitated, you will receive a point. The first to obtain 100 points is declared the victor. Some opponents are worth 10 points and are marked with an ethereal tether. Defeating them is harder than normal, but are needed to be victorious. With the rules explained, let the Grand Melee begin. Our battle has drawn the interest of a nearby Cyclops. Thancred rushes towards it and delivers a swift punch to its head, knocking it flat. He will fight the Cyclops whilst the Grand Melee continues. A line forms in front of us as they intend to protect us. We currently have the etheric tether, but so does Rawbarn. Everyone rushes towards Rawbarn, but they are sent flying by his might. Imric and Rawbarn clash, but he too is defeated. He creates a ring of fire surrounding just the two of us. He has been waiting for this moment. He has always wanted to fight us, and this gives him a reason to do so. It is just a duel between Rawbarn and the Warrior of Light. The battle is one to behold, but in the end we defeat Rawbarn. By beating him, this means Ishgard has won. This is Ishgard's victory. Emanalain has fought in a battle and claimed victory. He fought the hardest he could and gave it his all, beating the Alliance's best, and together Ishgard succeeded. He succeeded. Ishgard is strong. They are able to withstand any hardship. The future holds so much promise, so much joy. They only need to be shown the way. He has been given new resolve that is worth fighting for. He can see clearer now that the mist over his eyes has faded. Nanamo congratulates Sir Imric on his victory. Even though they are displeased that they lost, they are looking forward to having Ishgard fight alongside them in the battles to come. With the end of the Dragon Song War, change is going to happen. All Imric can do is usher the people ahead to a brighter future. Thancred returns from defeating the Cyclops and congratulates us for our victory. He hopes we didn't strain our muscles single-handedly winning the battle for them. Now that the Grand Melee is over, we all return back to Ishgard. Emanalain is exhausted, but gains a sudden burst of energy when he sees that Honoroyd is fit and well. He came to greet Emanalain at the gate. His injuries are completely healed, albeit a bit of minor scarring. Heavensward is also at the gate to greet us along with Edmund. The messengers went as fast as they could to send word of victory at the Grand Melee. There seems to be hope rekindled in the eyes of the people. With hope burning, the time is now. They must reconvene the conference and summon Vidofnir to Falcon's Nest. They must make peace with the Dravanians. It is a bright sunny day in the Falcon's Nest. The people have gathered en masse for the conference, to see history unfold in front of their eyes. The time is at hand. The woman who caused the previous conference to be cancelled is watching this from below. Upon seeing her face, Imric decides to speak a different speech, one that comes from the heart instead. Vidofnia arrives at the appointed time. The people are startled initially, but she comes to speak of peace. They exchange greetings. The Dravanians yearn to see the bonds restored from their past with man, and man wishes to do the same. Imric begins his speech.
Brothers and sisters, ye who stand as witness, hearken to me. Since the days of Eld, when the bonds betwixt man and dragon were sundered by our hand, our peoples have known only war, bloodshed without end, losses beyond counting, and still we fought. And still we fought. Some wounds do not heal. The dead cannot be returned to us. But we the living can yet choose another course. Here and now, we can lay down this burden, this hatred, this vengeance. Our forebears fought not so that we could die, but that we might live. So let us honor their sacrifice and spare our children this death sentence. Let us gift them a new legacy. Life.
The maid breaks down into tears after hearing the speech. A smile breaks out across our face as we approve of his message. There is a divide between man and dragon that is so very deep. To bridge this divide would cause generations to live and die. But do we still yearn for this peace? Look towards the legacy we leave our following generations. A dream of peace that is inscribed in stone. He reveals a symbol of peace that has been covered by a white sheet this entire time. The people are awed by the symbol. Even Vidofnir was shocked to see it. Atop the falcon's nest now lies a mural depicting Hraes Velgir and his beloved Shiva, when they were still happy and at peace. The dream they once shared shall be ours once more. It seems like everything is going smoothly. The crowd cheers as peace is finally going to happen. Suddenly an unknown voice shouts, "Never!" It is a dragoon, sitting atop a spire. He jumps and plunges his spear into Vidofnir's back. She roars in pain. He continues to drive it deeper and deeper until she is unable to stand. Imric tries to stop him by firing an arrow towards him, but the arrow is stopped mid-air. As we slowly start to see this being, we see two gigantic ruby Wyram eyes protruding from his mail. Eventually we see that it is Estinian, or rather Nidhogg, seeing as he took over Estinian's being. He looks towards Vidofnir with disgust, and berates her for even contemplating peace with the spawn of Thordan. He then turns his gaze towards the crowd, telling them that the final chorus is nigh, and all of Ishgard will bathe in the flames of retribution. None shall escape his wrath, none shall escape his revenge. Estinian's human form begins to float upward, and Nidhogg's dragon form bursts outwards. He then leaves to prepare for the final chorus. Peace cannot be had until Nidhogg is dead and gone. At every chance we try for peace, Nidhogg will stop us. The people begin to chant, "Death to Nidhogg! Death to Nidhogg!" In the mural of peace now lies spilled dragon's blood. We were so close, but the people are right. With Nidhogg's shade ever looming, true peace cannot be had. The peace conference has gone the worst way possible. Alfinra wants to talk to us after witnessing such a thing, but not as the Warrior of Light, nor as a fellow member of the Scions, but to us directly, his friend. He wants to speak to us in private and recommends we go back to the original safe haven granted to us after everything that happened in the bloody banquet, Camp Dragonhead. He gives us a warm drink just as Horsfort used to. To be honest, it seems like such a long time ago that we were here in the falling snows, being given refuge after everything that happened. It's hard to believe he's gone. The same goes for Yaseo. Alfinawad still thinks about the words Matoya spoke to him. Why do the Scions fight? Why do they die? If he was still the old Alfinawad, who commanded the Crystal Braves, he might have replied, "For the future of Eorzea." But he has learned that such things aren't really dreams. They are just lofty ideals that he didn't truly believe in. He didn't have an answer. That was until he saw Estinian in the ceremony. Now he does. He wants to fight for Estinian and save him. He doesn't want to sacrifice his friends and families for his cause. He is not willing to forsake Estinian, even if the others are. We must fight for him, for he is our friend and ally. We may struggle, we may fail, but we must try. We look to the cups resting on the table and think. Think about the time we shared around the campfire with our friends. Think about the time we shared with Horschfront. Think. For those we have lost, for those we can yet save. A knight lives to serve, to aid those in need. Together with our Finawad, we will find a way to save our dear friend Estinian. Y'shtola and Krill are still looking towards the bloody mural. Krill reminisces about meeting Estinian once. She glanced at the swirling hatred that lied within the Wyram's eye. It took all of her willpower just to not flee upon seeing it. But Eorzeans have to be stronger than that. They have what it takes to win a war. The words Matoya spoke served to steel the resolve of the Scions, to have him look past these conflicts, towards even greater trials. The Warrior of Darkness is looking towards the mural too. Unbeknownst to him, Thancred has been following him the entire time.
Change. That great inexorable wave was upon us, and soon all of Ishgard would bend to its will. For all our sins, for all our scars, the future for which we had long yearned was at last within our grasp. But it would be bought at a heavy price. For in those twilight hours did Nidhogg cry out for vengeance, and his brethren raise their voices for the final chorus of the Dragon Song War.